can say something? No?
He's in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he is. Hello, my name is Dimitri Abdulnour, and welcome back to my channel dedicated to acting content, skits, and some inspiration. I am an actor, a film director, and screenwriter in the Gatineau, Ottawa area, and as you can see, I'm in a totally different space today. It's a really very versatile space that you can do. You can, you don't see it now, but there's like a 3-camera setup. So if I switch, I can go to this camera, and then go back to this camera, and then go back to this camera over here. It's really spooky. You just go back, hello, and back. That's not the only thing you can switch. You can even switch the lighting in the space. So if you see something really spooky and really green, you know, that kind of thing, or you can choose something really friendly. Right? It's something. The special video I have for today is that I'm interviewing a very special guest. He's a highly respected casting director in Ontario. He's a mentor in acting and in life, and he loves steak. I just found out about that. He loves steak. Without further ado, Mike Migliara.
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thank you.
You've been searching on my FB profile for,
for
the steak?
Pretty much. I think you mentioned it once that you like steak. It's like, remember you were teaching us how to like play different characters, and you were impersonating like a rich person. And like at this point, I was like, okay, I think he loves steak, so I'm just gonna stick with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you always told me like you should go out and celebrate over a steak or something. So I still owe you that. I still owe you
absolutely. That. Prime rib, it hits the spot.
Oh, okay, sounds good. I'll keep that in mind. So how are you doing today, Mike?
I'm very well, thank you, yeah.
I would like to start by asking you about your background. How did you get into casting, and how did your casting academy came to be?
You know, it's a long time ago, so there's a lot in there. So I'll try to keep it short. It's actually quite common for casting directors that, you know, we don't really apply for the job because, you know, as you probably know, there isn't really any program in any academic institution on how to become a casting director. Mm-hmm. So it's quite common that the job finds us as opposed to the other way around, that we find the job. You know, but I graduated from Concordia University. Well, actually, I dropped out to take the casting assistant position.
Oh, okay.
back in the time, and it was the year 2000. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine introduced me to a casting director who's still a casting director in Montreal, still today. His name is Bruno Rosado. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so that friend introduced me to him, and you know, he opened up a casting place, and yeah, I just took the leap. I dropped out of theater.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because, you know, the position was needed immediately, and you know, at first it was just casting commercials, but then we met a producer, a U.S. producer named Lee Faulkner.
Wow.
Who brought us a project, and then that project would later get us Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, which was George Clooney's first project at the helm of being a director.
Yeah.
And yeah, and ever since then, you know, I haven't stopped in the field. In 2012, I took a pause. You know, a lot of things personally in my life were changing. So, you know, I just had to find a better fit for my lifestyle as an adult.
Of course, yeah.
And so, yeah, so I took a pause. I took a year break to go back to Concordia to complete my theater and film studies degree.
Okay.
Which I did, and at the same time, I married my girlfriend, who is now my wife. Mm-hmm. She got a scholarship at Ottawa University, and so I left Montreal and moved here. And I was doing very, very small workshops in between to help pay for my university degree,
Yeah.
and for the move. And then, the numbers of the workshops that I was, holding, like literally every 3 months,
Okay.
the demand started becoming a lot greater. But I've been coaching since 2003. I've coached.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I mean I've coached Tim Rozon, who you probably know from Winona Earp, who's a very, very dear friend of mine.
He was on Schitt's Creek as well.
Yeah, he played on Schitt's Creek. He was a recurring role there. I mean, Winona Earp, though, he played Doc Holliday, which is a legendary role, which he did incredible justice to. He's one of my best friends in the industry, and he's one of the best actors in this country. I had a studio back then in Montreal in Mel Cité du Cinéma.
Oui.
And I had regular clients, putting them on tape. Self-tapes back then were tremendously, it was a weekly basis. I was booking so many self-tapes because that was the norm of the day. As everybody knows, that's pretty much decreasing now because, the technology of home studio.
All right.
And everybody's capacity now to do it at home. But back then, I regularly put tapes for a lot of actors that are Canadian A-list actors. Michael Mando being another one, who's another dear friend of mine, who I miss because I don't see them as much anymore. Cindy Sampson, Amber Goldfarb. There's something missing here in Ottawa.
Yeah.
There was something missing on the screen acting side, technique that is, tremendously acute towards acting for the screen.
Yeah.
So I decided to open your casting academy as a private, school to teach actors screen acting.
Especially downtown Ottawa, there's all these, there's the National Arts Center, there's La Nouvelle Scène, there's all these theaters, so it's really geared, it feels like it's geared towards theater, but it's nice to have something, a school specifically for screen acting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity here in Ottawa, and I've been here since 2012. And it's getting better and better and better. This production studio, this is a multicam production studio / podcast facility, so which we didn't have in the past. You could see it growing. This is growing. People are active in this space alone. Fireside Pictures.
Yes.
I keep seeing breakdowns from them because production has increased tremendously. It's exciting. Things are moving quickly. Things are moving fast. So it's a great city for actors to grow in.
Yes.
The talent pool, yes, maybe considerably small in comparison to Toronto. But the way I see it, it's easier to penetrate the market as an actor here, whereas in Toronto there's so many actors.
Yeah, it's true.
So harder to break through. Although evidently that is what has to happen eventually to any actor from Ottawa or any actor at all from any locale needs to expand their wings and pretty much get to know every single casting director across the country. So, I always tell actors, you have to be nomadic in nature. You got to move, after 2-3 years and you get bookings, you should move. You should go a little bit more west to the bigger markets. And then Ottawa truly continues to compete heavily in the market.
Yeah, and like as an actor here who lives in Gatineau, who's close to Ottawa, it's nice to hear that these opportunities are coming for people that want to break into that industry. One thing that you emphasize the most on, as me being a student of yours, is focusing a lot on craft. There's so many acting study techniques through Meisner, Stella Adler, Huda Hagen, as you were saying. Is there one in particular that you believe in the most?
I don't know if I could answer that question, and try to try to isolate one from the other as being the most. The truth of the matter is that an actor has to thoroughly investigate all these approaches that have hit the canon. And the reason why these approaches on technique, why they're popular, is because they started working for many actors in big numbers. You know, we're talking about a craft that demands a lot of attention of the body, the mind, the voice, the soul. So, you know, this is not, it's not as simple as other things that I actually find very complicated, like carpentry or you know, but that is math. You measure it, you cut gear, although I am totally lost when it comes to those matters. But so because everybody has because everybody is different, you know, an actor has to thoroughly investigate and then decide on, in tandem with getting feedback from, you know, industry professionals, you know, with that intel, try to figure out, you know,
what works best for you.
Yeah, exactly. What works best for that actor. But I mean, there's some actors that have, you know, not have investigated thoroughly and they allow their ambition or their ego get in the way, and decline an offering from one of these canonical figures just because, oh, well, I don't do that, it doesn't work for me. Well, I find that odd because it works for so many others. Did you try this? Did you try that? You know, and then sometimes actors let ego get in the way, and how could they not? They're actors. I mean, they love being on the spot. Their duty is to entertain, so I get it. But you know, they're all important. They're all very, very good techniques. As long as, you know, actors again know how to, you know, isolate one from the other, see the differences, know what these studies are actually trying to do as a doing technique. It's the reality of doing. Acting is doing. So if the technique doesn't agitate you to get up on your feet and do, then it's either one or two things. The technique's not working, or you're truly not meant to be an actor. You're just in love with an idea of what this field is.
Me as an actor, I like to be in a collaborator. I know that there's a team behind me, and I'm trying to collaborate with the director and my co-actors as well in order to bring a scene to life. But not all actors are like me. I understand you were speaking about ego earlier. If you keep doing the same thing all the time, I feel like people are going to get bored and they're just going to switch. And
well, yes and no. I mean, actors capitalize on what they're good at. It's called the typecast, or some institutions call it the actor's free hit, where they don't have to work. They just got to memorize their lines and just speak, literally speak. You know, so the typecast, you know, is when an actor is just doing what they're really, really good and doing over and over again. And quite frankly, people don't get bored. People actually keep, you know, it's the star that they invite into their homes. It's a very powerful experience that I think, you know, because it's just in the power of a switch, that people take for granted to a degree. Actors doing what they do all the time and what really works for them is important. It's important to recognize it. It's important to let it mature. It's important so that an actor could capitalize on that income and capitalize on that visibility, so that in 5 years from now, when the actor does change, because we all age, so evidently it's coming, you know, that they're prepared with a strong management team. But, you know, as long as an actor tries before they decline an offering, I think that is the most important thing. You know, so it's the same on set when you get the redirect. You got to be open to someone else's interpretation.
That's true.
And you are part of a team. That's incredibly true. But you need a foundation to work off of, a strong one. And so all these canonical figures that we've mentioned are all incredibly important to build a solid, strong foundation for the screen.
And since we're still talking about teaching, and since just for the average viewer who a person that heard about your casting academy doesn't know much about it, what is your style of teaching? Let's say just to give them an idea of what they could expect if they come to your casting.
Well, I don't know if you, yeah, I guess you could call it a style, but it's just being brutally honest. And our wonderful instructors here, we're very positive in our approach, but at the same time, I make sure that that the student is getting a valuable critique on their work. We don't just say this is no good and this scene is really boring and you rush the moment here. As long as the critique ends off with an offering to fix it. If it's just critique, like I'm sure many actors feel when they go into a workshop, especially if it's a 2-day, 1-day workshop,
Right.
which I've been to so many, it's a lot of don't do this, don't do that, but then there's no, well, why don't you do this or that? And then furthermore, there's not even, okay, so if I can't do that, then what should I do? Even a lot of acting books actually don't give the student an offering of technique to help them advance in their craft. It just seems like, like how many audition books have you read and said, just breathe. Don't be nervous. Okay, well, don't be nervous. I'm going to be nervous.
Yeah.
Well, don't be. Well, okay, well then how do I not be nervous? Well, just breathe. Okay, we've heard that for the last 100 years. Well, is there anything else to offer? And then just breathe. Well, then how do I breathe? It's a lot of the times it's just, critique with no, with no offering of a way to get rid of what we call parasites, these things that get in the way of actors achieving their goals. At the Academy, we give you offerings and in point form and very concise and very clearly. And we also give offerings on the screen, so there's no playback.
Yeah.
Well, when you were a student, actually there was, but now we use a program that we upload in the cloud, and the critique, as you've seen, the critique is given on the screen, on the timeline. That's our style. We're brutally honest, and we work hard to make sure that we fix it.
Yeah.
That we fix it so that when we do a final take, then it's what I say to my students: you're camera ready. You're camera ready now. You could go in front of the camera, and it doesn't matter where you are, which studio you are, what material you use. You could go on the camera now, put it on YouTube, and you'll get views. Because you could entertain and you could reach the audience's hearts, and that takes work. A lot of people think it's just actors memorizing lines, and to a large degree, a lot of the business is that it's just actors memorizing lines, and they're just people that could be very present. They're just people that could be very grounded and love that feel of being grounded and present, and they're just hypersensitive beings that just have to memorize lines, and it comes easy to them. But then there's a lot of actors that they need technique, a solid base technique and tricks to be incredibly entertaining and incredibly believable in an imaginary circumstance. Some students it comes easy, some need to work extremely hard, and it takes a lot of dedication and hard work.
I'm reading about Steve Harvey. Yeah, so I'm reading one of his books. It's called Act Like a Success, Think Like a Success.
Yeah, Steve Harvey, the Family Feud guy?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is. I just like his inspirational work. I like how he motivates people. And there's a chapter in his book that he talks about failure. And since us as actors, we're really vulnerable on screen, and we try to be vulnerable as much as we can, and we try to deal with notes and criticism. Sometimes, like you said, it hurts our feelings. In the book right now, he tells that failure is a way for you to learn. And he doesn't look at failure like, oh, I messed up, I'm gonna quit, that's it. It's kind of positive in a way that it tells you like you're on the right track, keep going, you're learning something. One thing that I saw since I've been a student of you is that you have a very keen eye. Like, you know, you see potential in people. Like, if you continue to get your craft up, if you continue to do this, you're gonna be a monster. And
Yeah, right.
yeah, I've been studying with you for like a year or two now, and I graduated from the academy as well. And just the whole experience has, and I'm just speaking from me, it literally changed the way I act. I come here, and then there's different things I have to work on, and I grow as a person. I grow as an actor and a person as well, and I feel like people should experience that when they come here, and I hope they do.
Yeah, you know, well, yeah, no, you have improved tremendously. I mean, I still put you on tape for auditions. You know, every month we get together, and it's obvious that if you would see some tapes of 3 years ago, your work was way more surfaced back then than it is now, which didn't take you long to champion. That's the other thing is some students don't even know what these terms are. Any student that comes here is going to grow. That's 100%. You know, the thing about you know, Mr. Family Feud guy. You know what he says about failure. It's been quite some time that it's the rhetoric. You know, turn mistakes into gold. But you know, I come from a different perspective. There are mistakes,
Yeah.
and some mistakes are quite costly. And I don't want my students to make these mistakes. We want them to champion in the field. All our instructors do. So we give a lot of heart here. We give ourselves, because at the end of the day, this is not just a job. This is the ambition. We want to get hired and be on the screen. So there are mistakes, and yes, we learn from our mistakes. You know, you can't linger on the past, just like the old saying is, don't live in the past. You know, that was the rhetoric. Well, because you know, there's nothing you could do to change it. It's gone. You know, that moment is gone. So, you know, you got to take humble offerings in life, and to know that it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Mistakes are not a big deal. This craft, it's a career, it's a job. Being an actor is a job at the end of the day. And it's not a big deal if you don't become an actor. Whereas to many actors, to many of my students, it would be dire if they wouldn't become an actor. You know, their dreams are broken. It almost feels like that their lives would fall apart if they don't succeed in becoming an actor. But you know, people should take comfort, especially actors, if their main goal is to have empathy. You know, there's so much more to life than just a job.
Right.
You know, and enjoy it. There's so much. So many of my actors are successful in doing so much. You know, contribution to their communities, their contribution to society as a whole, contribution to their direct families, and the love that they give there. I mean, that's success, really. You know, having a strong moral compass. I mean that's all the good stuff, and if you're not successful there, you could be successful at your job and even be the president of a company with millions of dollars. But if you're not successful at home, at home base, right, in here, then, that is a failure that truly costs more than anything that money could buy. And so, it's just a job. Don't worry about it. Don't do other things. Explore. Get 2 degrees, Don't panic. Don't live a life of panic in front of an audition with no money in your pocket. You can't pay the bills or have a roof over your head. Go out there, get comfortable, do things, have fun, give love. And then, if you become an actor, great. If you don't, great. You still have a great life. Do you see what I mean? And in a highly competitive world, especially today, it's not just acting, it's other fields too. People are working other jobs outside of the field that they wanted to live the rest of their lives in. Also a real thing is actors just putting all their eggs in one basket and too much emphasis that this is what they got to do and want to do. Well, there's all kinds of other things to do, and you could do them in tandem. So, when you leave that audition, you're too busy. You got so much other things to do that you don't even worry about the audition. In turn, that actually helps because they go into the audition more playful and casual without going into their head and worrying about it. Almost hypnotic and listening more and being more alive. Why? Because they're just going there to actually perform. It doesn't become an audition at that point. It becomes, no, I'm going to work. I'm going to work. I act. And then when it's done, they don't dwell on it for weeks and weeks. There's other things in their lives that they've secured, that they could go over it. Whereas there's other actors that it harms them within 2-3 years. They become incredibly depressed and they drop out. But it is a tough industry in general. So I sympathize. I tell my students, there's so much more, and you're just going to be a way more sympathetic human being, a way more empathetic fellow that the world needs, especially now today, by taking the classes. But yes, mistakes happen when we want not to do mistakes, because at the same time we mean business.
Yeah, of course.
We mean business. We're not here to help students with their daily lives. We mean business, and we want our students to book, and we want our students to succeed, wholeheartedly. And we work very hard so that every student, not just 1 or 2, who happen to have some sort of natural talent, but all of them. And so far so good, because we have a lot of our student populace that is going out there. Some are even booking while they're here, which is fantastic. You're booking, which is fantastic. Emmett Graham, one of our students, just booked a part, went to Montreal, just booked a day principal role, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, every week we have people booking, and we're incredibly proud. We're not here to coddle. We're here to really just make you hit big. That and I couldn't be more proud.
I'd like to thank you for coming and talking to me, just taking the time out of your busy day to just come talk to me here. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Yeah,
Ciao.
thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. It's always an honor to speak with you.
Yeah, always an honor being here, and keep hitting those home runs.
I'll try. I'll try.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you.